I want to bring in Keith Pitt, who, of course, was the Federal Resources Minister. Had to resign your commission. Have you had to resign it yet, or does it happen automatically, Keith?
I'm pretty sure that's automatic, Chris, once the new government is formed. I'm here in Canberra packing up my office right now.
Yeah, no, it's a sad time for you. Tell me about the role climate policy played in the result, in your belief.
Oh, look, I don't think you can tell people for 10 years how big a problem is and what it'll cost and then have a change of heart. But that's a position that's been taken through a democratic process in both the Nationals and the Liberal Party. That was the position taken out to the people, one which I supported, given that there was a vote that was all debated fair and square.
But you believe it was wrong? It was wrong to go to net zero by 2050?
Well, I'm not going to get into the details of the party room vote and who went which way. The decision was made by a majority. But out in the regions, people are concerned about the price of power and how this might work. They know that big coal-fired power station just down the road provides a lot of jobs and a lot of economic drive into their local region, and it's kept the lights on for decades. And it can do that into the future, and that's why we took a technology, not taxes approach, and others have a different view, but we'll soon see how much that may cost.
Well, others within the coalition have a different view. Let's have a look at the New South Wales Treasurer, Matt Keane.
Can't seriously talk about building a strong economy if you don't have serious policies to address the issue of climate change. You can't talk about building a more secure country if you don't have policies to address the issue of climate change.
So I don't get this logic. People like Matt Keane say that you have to go further to the left on climate and energy policy to sort of win back these seats, but you went to net zero by 2050 and look what happened.
I think Mr Keane might want to reflect on what his commentary might have done in terms of the election and its campaign. And if he really wanted to be in the big show, he had an opportunity to step up. He could have stood for pre-selection, run for a seat and put himself forward to come into Canberra and have those discussions. It's easy to throw hand grenades from the sideline, mate, but if you want to get down in the trenches, you need to get off your high horse and get in amongst the mud.
Well, all right, then, so you think Matt Keane muddied the waters on climate or on Catherine Deves or on everything?
Well, I don't think it was terribly helpful. We are looking at a unified position across the coalition. We're taking that as a proposition to the people. That is being clearly not accepted by all of those voters. We have lost the election. I congratulate Anthony Albanese and the Labor Party. But the Nationals held all their seats. We've gained a senator. And I think a lot of that is to do with our candidates and the people who are there. They are part of the fabric of the local community. They're known. They know they stand for them. They're not blow-ins. They're not parachuted in. They're not out on Sky News every single day because they think that's their job. Their job is to represent people. In fact, I did an interview this morning with the ABC. The majority of the work my office does is in helping people with challenges in age pensions, for example, working with social services.
Let's stick on climate though for a minute. If the coalition parties are going to stick to net zero by 2050, which it might be hard to roll back from now, surely you need to back nuclear power to get there, because the country won't get there with renewables.
I just think 20,000 square kilometres of solar panels is folly. You've got to just take a practical approach. It's the engineering that defines whether something works. And the idea that you'll put a big blanket over that much of the country, I think, is wrong. I think the nuclear debate will be had in the next term. I really do, Chris. But it is one that will have to be handled delicately. There is currently a moratorium, which means you can't move forward. Labor is opposed. And you would have to determine where these sites will be. Otherwise, it's a monster scare campaign because everybody gets a nuclear reactor. But I think we've got to see common sense on these approaches. And something needs to be done. If you want to build transmission lines all over the country and think you can shift energy from Cairns to Melbourne, well, physics says something different. Yeah,
now Simon Birmingham has had a bit of a crack at the Nats, but I'll leave that for another day, I suppose, because we are just about out of time. Thanks for joining us, Keith. I appreciate it.
There's plenty of time to sink the boot in all over the place, Chris, and I'm sure it'll happen.
I'm sure it will. Keith Pitt there, of course, who's a Nat. He's not too fond of Matt Keane, the New South Wales Treasurer, the moderate, sticking his nose into climate issues, and we'll have those debates as we go. But nuclear, as you just heard, is going to get a strong push from Conservatives in the Nationals and the Liberals in the coming term.